Allô, bonjour tout le monde, c'est le Père Guillaume. Je ne sais pas qui c'est qui est en train de m'écouter. I don't know if someone is hearing me. I have this opportunity to be with you today on this page, Domus Orientalis, and I want to thank Father Marek for this opportunity that is given me to be sharing with you. And so I see that Father Marek is online now with me. I don't know if someone else will join us. Good morning, everyone. So I'm here to present a little bit the mission that we have here in Lebanon. First, I'm very happy to know this experience of Domus Orientalis and this association and all the good that you are projecting to do for the Middle Eastern Christians, because as you know, in the late years it was a very difficult time for us with all the problems that we had with Daesh and ISIS, as we say in English, and all the persecution that was against the Christians and if even the other confession that are not Muslims in the country of Iraq and Syria. And so many people begin to understand that in Middle East there are so many, there are not so many, but there are a big group of Christians that are speaking Arabic, that they are here in Middle East since the time of Jesus Christ, since the time of the birth of the church. And so I think that it's very interesting to speak about them and to make them known by the people. I see that Joanna has joined us today. Welcome, Joanna. I just want to say that you can ask questions and make comments, and I can answer to all your demands in French, in English, as you like. I think that perhaps speaking English it's better for everyone here, but as you want. Even Marcin is here with us. And so I was saying that I'm here to sharing about our experience and who I am and what I am doing in Lebanon. So I'm Father Guillaume, I'm French, from the south of France, and since 20 years, more than 20 years now, I'm working here in Lebanon as the rector, so the responsible of the Redemptoris Mater Seminary in Lebanon for the Middle Eastern churches. So what is Redemptoris Mater Seminary? These seminaries are funded by some years ago. The first one was in Rome with Saint John Paul II, that decide with the help of the neo-catechumenal way, that it's a new reality in the church, to found some seminaries that form missionary priests to help the churches that are in need of clergy, because as you know, there are some churches that are very rich of clergy and spiritual life, as the church in Poland, but there are other churches that they are in need and they don't have so many vocation, they have huge areas without priests. And so they decide, the initiators of the neo-catechumenal ways, Kiko, Carmen, that you can see behind me here. This is the photo of Carmen, one of our founder. Kiko is still alive. They decide to, with John Paul II, to make a seminary, a diocesan seminary in Rome, to help the churches that are in need. This experience began in 87, so many years ago. I was one of this, not first, but in the third year I entered in the seminary there in Rome. I was born in Rome, and I had the chance and the happiness to be ordained by Saint John Paul II, priest, in 95. I was vicar in a parish in Rome, and in the 99 the Bishop of Rome, the General Vicar of Rome, at this time it was Cardinal Balin, no, Cardinal Ruini, excuse me, it's an error for me, Cardinal Ruini, asked me if I was ready to come in Lebanon to be the rector of one of these seminaries that were founded to help the churches in need. Our seminary that now is in Lebanon was before in Egypt, because in 95, 3 bishops of Egypt, one was from the Catholic Church, Coptic Catholic Church, the other one from the Armenian Catholic Church, and the other one from the Maronite Catholic Church. There are 3 bishops, Oriental bishops. They saw that the Oriental churches were in need of evangelization, because one of the biggest problems in Middle East is that the Christians are a minority, and little by little they have the big temptation to leave these countries, because it's not so easy to live here, and to abandon the places where they are. And so there is the danger that little by little all Middle East lose all its Christians, and so that the Christian presence in these countries that are very important, because they are the countries where Christ was born, where Christ preaches, and also the places where the church began. Antioch, Alexandria, even Turkey, Lebanon, all these countries, they were the first Christian communities during the beginning of Christianity. And so this is very important as the witness, as the testimonial of the story that Christians are still here. And they discover that one of the main problems of the Christians here in the Middle East is that they lost their hope. They think that there is no future for them because the countries are Muslims, there are so many political problems, so many conflicts, the war also, and the conflicts in Israel with Palestinian and Jewish, and the Arabs country, all the problems that we saw, and also with the first Gulf War and the second one. This creates a state of instability in these places. And a lot of Christians, they lost their hope. So they didn't see a future here. They think that there is no place for them. They cannot have a future for their children. It's difficult. So they decide to leave this country. And these bishops that were a little bit afraid to see this hemorrhage of Christians, they understood that if there is no hope, it means that the faith is weak. So that they have religious attitude, they are going to mass, they are praying, but perhaps this faith, it's not enough strong to resist to the fear of the future. So they understood that it was very, very important to increase the faith in the people, and also to help the communities of Christian people that were most in difficulties around the Middle East. And so they begin to ask to some priests of their diocese, and they saw that it was not easy to find priests that were ready to go in the most difficult places to help the communities of the Christian communities that were more in need. And so when they knew that the Pope John Paul II did a seminary in Rome to help the church in need, they have the same idea. What? We cannot do a seminary here in Middle East to do this. And so they asked to the Neo-Catechumenal Way, it was possible to make this kind of seminary. And that's why in 95, in Cairo, in Egypt, they gave birth to this seminary, Redemptoris Seminary. In Arabic we say al-Fadi. It means the mother, Fadi it means the Redeemer. So mother of the Redeemer, Redemptoris Mater, it's al-Fadi in Arabic. So this seminary was funded in this time, and came some seminarians from the Middle East and also from around the world, because we saw that it was important to share the vocations, and because, as we say, sharing is loving. So because there is not so much vocation in Middle East, it's good that some places where there are more vocation, for example South America, or some places that's also sometimes in Italy, in Spain, that they can come to help Middle East churches. And so since this 94, this seminary is acting and forming priests for Middle Eastern churches. It's not an easy task, because we are not a very big seminary. We have only 20 students. These students, they have to study Arabic, they have to study Oriental churches, they have to study even the languages of these Oriental churches, because as you know, these churches, they have other tradition. We are, most of us, me, because I'm from Europe and I'm from the Diocese of Rome, so more than everything, I'm a Latin. So our liturgy, it's the Latin liturgy. We are celebrating the Mass with a rite. We have a kind of prayers, the breviary, and so many traditions. We have Father of the Church, that like Agostinos or Ambrosius or other, Benedict, the founder of the monachism, the monks. There is a long tradition in the in the Eastern churches, and no, in the West Church, with the Latin, with the Roman rite. But there is a lot of churches that were found, that were from the beginning of the church in Middle East. And they are divided in so many tradition and rites, with so many languages. Some are speaking Aramaic, Syriac. Some are speaking Armenians, for example. Some are speaking Greek or Arabic, the Byzantines. Some are speaking Coptic. Coptic, it's a very interesting language, because it's the rest that we have from the pharaonic language. It's the last step of the pharaonic language, and the monks of the Coptic Church in Egypt, they are speaking still this language. And so our seminarians, they have to prepare themselves to be ready to serve there in these countries, and so we have to prepare these guys to be ready. Yeah? That's why what's happened after a while. The responsible of this seminary, they discovered that Lebanon was a better place. You know that Lebanon, it's a very particular place. Why? Because in Lebanon, the Christians are a huge community. They are half of the country, more or less. Now they say that they are a little less, because the Muslims are making more children and the Christian less. So the Muslims are becoming a little bit more present than the Christians, but it's still a huge country for the Christian. And there are universities, Catholic universities, and theological Christian universities. So it was easier to form these young guys that are coming from all around the world and from Middle East to be priests for the mission, to form them in Lebanon. So in 1999, they decide to transfer this little community of seminarians that were in Cairo, they transfer it to Lebanon. And at this year, in 1999, they were searching for a rector, for a director for this seminary, and they thought about me, because I was a young priest at this time. I didn't have this gray beard. I was more young, and I was French, so it was easy for me to manage, because here the Christians are speaking a lot French, and also I was 30 years old, so it was easy for me to learn Arabic, more or less. And so they sent me here, and now we are continuing this experience here in Lebanon to form these priests. So we already have 22 priests that are ordained for so many dioceses around the Middle East. We have in Lebanon with two rites, the Maronite rites and and the Byzantine, the Greek Catholic Rite. We have also in Egypt with the Coptic and the Syriac and the Maronite Church. We have also in Sudan, in Khartoum, the capital, we have 2 priests there serving with the Latin churches. And after, there are also some priests are in mission outside of Middle East, because you know that, as I said in the beginning, so many Christians, they left the Middle East and they are going on in other country, and there we have to assist them so that they don't lose their belonging to Middle East, because they are always the hope that they can come back in Middle East when they are more strong in the faith. So we have some priests in Argentina with the Armenian Church, also in Brazil and in Colombia with the Maronite Church. Now I see that someone is asking to me, what is the language of the Maronite Rite? The Maronite Rite, it's a very interesting rite that come from the Syriac churches, Syriac Church. It is one of the first, perhaps the first church, because it's the church that Saint Peter founded in Antioch, in Antiochia, and I don't know how to say in English, Antioch. It's a city that now it's in Turkey. It's just at the border between Syria and Turkey. And they are speaking a very old language, that is Aramaic, Syriac, that is the language that Christ was speaking. Because the first Christian, they were from the Jewish communities of around the Middle East. And this Jewish community, they weren't speaking Hebrew. Hebrew was an old language at this time. It was the language of the scripture, the Bible. But most of the Hebrews people, Jewish people, they were speaking Aramaic or Greek, that it's like the English for us today. Greek was the koine, the language for all the Mediterranean Sea, the communication language. But most of the Christians of the first communities in this part of Middle East, they were speaking Aramaic, the language of Christ and the Virgin Mary and Saint Joseph and all the apostles. So this first community, they spread a lot around the Middle East, and they became this Syriac churches family. There are a lot of Syriac churches, and there is the Syriac Catholic, the Maronite, the Chaldeans, the Assyrians. They are all these churches. They have in common the language of Christ, that is Syriac. Some people even now, they are still speaking this language as a normal language between themselves. For example, if you go in Iraq, the places that was destroyed by the ISIS, Mosul and Karakosh, all this, we call it in the Mesopotamia, all the Christians there, they are speaking the Syriac. Surely it's not exactly the same language of Christ, because you know better than me that my French is not the French that the French people were speaking 300 years before. So you can imagine the French that were speaking the first people in France. It was not my language. So it's coming from the language of Christ, but it's a lot of there are a lot of it's very near. For example, now in our seminary we have a young seminarian from Iraq, from the Chaldean church, and at home is speaking with his fathers and his brothers. He's speaking Surath, that is the Syriac language for the Chaldean people. You can go in Syria. In Syria there is a very famous village called Ma'alula, and Ma'alula is exactly a place where they are still speaking the Aramaic language. And they say that this Aramaic language of Ma'alula, it's the nearest to the language of Christ. This is nice that some communities are still speaking this Aramaic language, because, for example, in the Maronite church, most of the people, they don't speak anymore Aramaic. Yes, there is Michalina that is say that she met Christian in Iraq speaking Syriac, and it's true, you have a lot. I remember 2 years ago, some sisters, the Sisters of Calcutta, the Missionaries of Charity, they organized for the refugees, the Iraqis refugees, they organized the possibility for them to have confession. So they asked me if I can come to confess, and I was surprised that some people, they were not speaking Arabic. Old ladies and old men from Iraq, they were only speaking surahs. So they were understanding when I was speaking Arabic, but for me it was very difficult, so I asked them to speak very slowly, because they are language that are sisters, no? That when like Spanish and Italian. There are someone that is greeting us also from Syria. Good morning from Syria. We are happy, very happy to have Syrian here hearing us, and we hope that really they are good now in this situation with all the difficulties that Syria is living in these last years. I'm welcoming a lot of people are looking at us. Not we are more than 25. This is amazing. In a certain way, coronavirus helping us to be in communion, to be in contact. If you have some question, don't hesitate. If you want some more information, I'm speaking like this. So now, just to continue about what we are doing now in the seminary, as I said, we have already 21 priests. I said 22, but they are 21, really. I made a mistake. We have two young seminarians that now they will be ordained deacon in the next May or June, and they will be priests in September, October, because here in the Oriental churches, they can be ordained priests 3 months after the deacon ordination. And because the bishops are very needy, they are very needy, so they ordain them very quickly. Father Marek is saying that the best confession is when the priests don't understand well, and it's true. That's why I didn't have so many problems, but you saw to have to give them a word. But it's very interesting, this fact of the language, because I think now we have the project here in Lebanon. We have a beautiful project. We want to build a new, we are building, not we want, we are building a new building for our seminary, and God provide us to give us 2 buildings that were destroyed, completely destroyed by the civil war in Lebanon, just at the limit between the Muslim and the Christian neighborhood. So we are near one of the most important church in the area, that it's the church of Saint Michel, Mar Michael, that was one of the worst place during the war, and now we are building our seminary near to this church, and we want to make this place where we are forming priests also a place of meeting between Muslim and Christian, also a place of sharing between all the confession of the Christians. And we want also to be this place, a place where people are also have the opportunity to get in contact with the Christian tradition of Middle East. There are people from Italy. Stefano, one of the young boys that I knew when I was in Rome, is here participating. Also, there is the wife of my cousin, Marie-Aliette. Bonjour, bonjour tout le monde. So it's very nice to see all these people gathering by Facebook in this actuality of the coronavirus. I say it's like a benediction for us. And now in the seminary we became like a cloister of monks, praying during the night and fasting, asking God that it's help us and all these people. It's beautiful. So they are saying to me that yes, Father Marek, that it's passionate by the languages, is saying that the languages are amazing, because the languages are the way we are in contact, we are in communion. So if we don't speak the language one another, it's difficult to be in relation. And for this, all the most important initiatives during the years, during the history of contact between Muslim and Christian, and between also other confessions, are always around the languages. This is beautiful, for example, to know that one of the biggest problem, perhaps you knew about the heresies and the divisions of the church, and still now there are divisions between the Coptic Orthodox Church, the Armenian Orthodox, the Byzantine Orthodox. There are some division between Christians. It's very interesting to know that a big problem at this time, it was the problem of languages. They cannot translate very well the theological idea that they have, and so perhaps they refuse one word because they don't understand very well the meaning of this word in their own language. So they say that it's not right to say this, but at the end, if you are making a little bit linguistic studies, you can find that it's not true, that it's a problem of translation. So we think that surely our mission, primary mission, is to form priests for helping these communities, but also it's very important to give the opportunity to people to study and to have contact. Also, for example, Arabic. I discovered when I came here, I didn't know nothing about Arabic, and I didn't know nothing about Muslim. And I can say that in a certain way, I had a lot of misunderstanding about Islam, because I didn't know really what does it mean. For me, Islam, it was something very strange for me. Now I'm able to understand more Islam, and to understand also the things that are different with me and I'm not agree with them, but also I'm able to interact more easily with Muslim people and to find a way to communicate and also to help them to understand some error that they can have in their vision of God. And so it's very important. The language, it's very important. And so I think that we can make a great job with this school that we want to open here in this wonderful place that is near the church of Saint Michel. I want to have, because I have the opportunity also to invite you, because for us, we want that this school that we are creating little by little, because our seminarians, they are studying Arabic, also Syriac, some are studying Greek, in this time not, more Syriac than Greek, but it's we can give the opportunity to someone of you, if you want to come to spend 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, perhaps a little bit more during summer, because during summer our seminarians, a lot of them are going in mission, they are going outside, some of them they are staying to study language. And it should be great if someone of you is interested to come and to stay with us and to have a life of a little monastic life during this time and studying a language. We can make an initiation, for example, about Arabic or about Syriac or about even about the liturgy. It's an opportunity. So it can be very nice. Now I see that someone is asking to speak about about the contact that we have with Muslims. You know, my experience after 20 years here in Lebanon, it's that the best dialogue that we can have with Muslims, and this is also with all the religions, because here we are in a context that there are Muslims, but perhaps we have Christians that are in the middle of Buddhists or Hinduists or other religion. The most important thing is the life sharing and the capacity that we have to show and to be real Christian in the middle of the society. Because to speak about our differences, to argue about what is wrong or what is right in the Quran, in the Bible, it could be interesting in an academic level, and sometimes it bears fruit. And I think that it's important to have this kind of possibility to study. And for example, one of our priests now, the vice rector, is now studying Islam and interreligious dialogue and religious science. But I think that our contact, it's much more a contact of everyday life. The people that the man that is at the door of my building is a Muslim, and what is the possibility for him to know about a Christian? It's to see Christians. And perhaps till now, I don't want to be a little bit, I want to be a little bit evil. Till now, he saw some people that were living in this building that they didn't care so much about him, only treating him as a servant, as someone that can bring them food, or I don't know. But from the time that we came, for me it was important to show him that it's not only someone who is giving me a service, but it's also a person, and I can meet him, I can speak with him, I can say that I'm praying for him, I can use also some words in Arabic that is for him it's nice. For example, to hear from my mouth that I'm blessing him, it's something beautiful. To every day that when I say to him, God bless you in Arabic, or God give you health, or these little things to show him affection, respect, and also to be able to forgive him, for example. One of the specificity of the Christian, I think, is this capacity to forgive, to have a love. Christ said to me, love your enemy. This is very important. If you know, you can see this. The Pope Francis participated to a beautiful meeting that bishops of all around the Mediterranean Sea they did in Bari in Italy 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, before the coronavirus alert in Italy. And it was very nice because the Pope spoke about what is extremism for the Christian. Amal is now joining us from Tunisia. Hi Amal, how are you? Very nice to meet you. You have people from Tunisia, also from Lebanon, Vivian and Eli. All my friends are here and I'm very happy. And so what I'm saying is that, so I was saying that the Pope said that the Christian, we have only one extremism. And this is the extremism of love. The possibility to love the enemy. Because this is what Jesus Christ did. What Jesus Christ did? Jesus Christ loved the people that were killing him. You imagine what does it mean? So we are following someone who had the strength to forgive the people that were killing him. And so we are the disciples of someone who incarnated in himself this possibility for human being to forgive the enemy. And this is what we have as Christian. This is our treasure. This is not only a treasure as a moral law, not only because Christ did it, we have to do it, but because we received this from Christ, because we were sinners when God loves us. We were sinners. We were far from Him. And even if we are a good Christian, I presume that if you are a good Christian, you go to confession. You realize that you do some mistake. And during the confession, you have the opportunity to feel the love of God for you when you are a sinner. And so this forgiveness that we receive from God, we are called, our Christian, to give it back to the people that are around us. This is very important. And this appears in the little things. In the little things. Surely some people, they have the mission to show it in big things, giving their life. Sometimes it's happened. We call them the martyrs. The martyrs, they are not the people that are dying only, but the people that are dying forgiving the people that are killing them. We have a lot of beautiful signs, example of Christian during these last years that died, giving their life for their faith. We saw them with ISIS. We saw them with the Coptic boys, and that they were in Libya, for example. They were killed by ISIS and they were forgiven. the people that were killing them. It was beautiful. But also we have to remember that it's not only an heroic attitude. It's also a little thing that we can give day by day. That's why it's important to help our Christian here in Middle East to find this strength of the love of God. Because if we have it in ourselves, if we have this Holy Spirit, we can have a new life. We can be happy here. We can suffer, even we are despised, even we are in trouble, even if it seems that there is no future for us. But we know that the future is not only a mundane future, but the future for the Christians, it's eternal life. It's Christ. It's the possibility to give our life. So I think that it's very important, really, that we can give to Christians this possibility to know and to know that we have to give life. There is Athar from Syria. She's saying that they are doing this every day in their community without planning for it, and it's exactly what the Christian have to do. This is exactly what the Christian have to do. It's beautiful what you are saying. I'm amazed in these last years to see how much Christians are suffering more, but how much the Christianity is strengthening little by little here in Middle East by this experience. Because when we are very well, very good, it's very easy to lose this authenticity. So this is what we are doing, trying to build bridges between people, and also to help the Christians to go back to their authenticity and to the strength of the love of Christ. I don't know, I said so many things. I'm waiting for you to ask me questions, to even to comment. I'm very touched by the experience of Athar, that she's saying that really every day the communities of Christians in places like Syria, they are giving this witness, this testimonial of the love of Christ day by day. I don't know, Marek, what do you want me to speak about? Yeah, for example, I can speak about what we are doing in this time. It's beautiful. It's difficult time because all here we are afraid also about this coronavirus, so we are blocked in our seminary. But it's a big opportunity because to be together and to have a more strong prayer life. So normally we are praying the rosary once a week together, and during the day we are praying it everyone by ourselves. But now we decide to pray it every day before mid-prayer for all the world. Also, we are doing every Friday night in front of the Holy Sacrament, 2 by 2. We are doing adoration and praying during the night for the world, for all the people. To all the people that are suffering. And also during this night, between Tuesday and Wednesday, we are awaking in the middle of the night at 2:30. All the seminary we gather in the chapel and we pray 1 hour together. So there are two styles. One, it's we are all together for 1 hour, and during the night of Friday we are adoration of the Holy Sacrament. We also decided to make fasting twice a week, not only on Friday where we are used to eat only bread and water at lunch, but also we will do it on Wednesday. Father Marek is always is asking me how is the coronavirus in Lebanon. Now the situation in Lebanon, it's quite under control, they are saying, because the increase of the case are under control, because it's since more than 2 weeks that we are closed in our house. Now they are becoming more tough. They close a lot of the industrial implants, and all the people are encouraged to stay at home. and there are some measures that only the bank are working, only some shops, not all the shops have to be called, it's forbidden to gather. Perhaps they will close also they will close also the churches. They don't know, now they are only the mass and Sunday. And also but it seems that it's under control. They are afraid because the health system here in Lebanon, it's not that strong. So, you know, if we have a very high increasement of the case, it could be very dangerous and there could be a lot of deaf people. So they are trying to control it. Someone is asking me, Maciej Podmorski is asking me the benefit of knowing Syriac. You know, if you know Arabic and Hebrew, I can say to you that Syriac will be very easy. Very easy. And so it's not difficult if you know already Arabic and Hebrew. The benefits, it's that you have access to a literature that it's very interesting, that it's the literature of the Syriac fathers, St. Ephrem's, and there is a lot of publication. Now you can find sometime in English, but the original is in Syriac. And so there is a lot of beautiful texts, spiritual texts that are really very interesting, and you can read it in Syriac. And also you can participate to the rites of the Syriac churches easily because you understand what they say. Someone is asking the difference between Maronites and Catholic churches. Very interesting. The Maronites are Catholics because Catholics, it doesn't mean Latin. Okay, Catholics, it means that we recognize the Pope as the chief of our church. All the people that are recognize the authority of the Pope are Catholics. Among the Catholics, there are some rites. The main rite of the Catholic, it's the Latin Roman Catholic rite. So we are using in Poland, in France, in most of the countries that are Catholic, we are using the Book of Prayer of Roma, Roman Catholic. We are Roman, so we are following the rite of the Pope. As the Pope is celebrating the Mass, we celebrate the Mass. As the Pope is praying breviary, we pray the breviary, okay? But among the Latins, there are some other rites. If you go to Milano, you will find that they are following another liturgy, that is the Ambrosian liturgy. So among the Latin, there are some rites. In the Catholic Church, there are churches, Oriental churches, that have other rites. One of them, it's the Maronite Church. That is a very interesting church because it's the only Eastern church that is completely Catholic. The Maronites, they never were separate from Rome. Some Catholics here in the Middle East, they have a part that is Orthodox, for example, the Byzantine. A lot of Byzantine churches are not Catholic, for example, the Russian, the Greek, so they are not Catholic, they are following other authorities, but there are some Greek that have the same rights, but they are Catholic, they are following the Pope. The Maronites, they are all Catholic, they are all following the Pope. It's a church that came from a monastery in Syria, near Aleppo, founded by a huge saint that was Saint Maron. Saint Maron, he was a Syriac monk that have the idea that the monks, they have to live among the people. And so he founded monasteries that were very near of the cities, and they were interacting with the cities, and the monks were well connected with the families. And so it creates a form of liturgy, of living, of spirituality that was connected with the monastery of Saint Maron. Imagine it's for us like the Benedictines, no? So we are connected with the Benedictines monasteries, no? And it's like if the Benedictines are Roman, so that's why we have the rights of the Roman. And most of the European countries, they were evangelized by the Latin monks, so we got their rights. It's the same thing. They got the rights of the monastery of Saint Maron. When they were the persecution with the Muslims, these Maronites, these families and monks and all this reality, they took refuge in the mountain of Lebanon, because they were mountains very difficult to access, so it was a refuge for the Christians that were persecuted. And so they lived in these mountains and they became a church. And at a certain moment, when the patriarch of Antioch was very weak, and the patriarch of Constantinople, it didn't named the patriarch of Antioch, the Maronites, they decide to elect a patriarch among themselves and to become a church independent but connected with Rome, because they always asked to Rome to be in communion with them. So these are the Maronites. It's a very interesting church. It's one of the most important churches in the Middle East, because they kept this country, Lebanon, a Christian country for so many centuries, and still now the Maronites are 30% of the population of Lebanon. The Christians are more or less 45-50% of the church of the country, but among the country, 30%, that it's much more than half of the Christian, are Maronites here in Lebanon. I hope that it was enough for you, Piotr, to understand what are the Maronites. I don't know, it's already 3:46 minutes that we are together. I don't know if you want me to speak about something else. I don't know. Father Marek, what do you think? Or we continue, or I can stop here and we can have another meeting, another day about another thematic. I don't know. I'm ready to be with you. I'm very happy, really. I want to insist, if someone is interested in getting in contact with us, to have lessons, to study Arabic, and to come to visit us, is the most welcome. Father Marek is asking me if we can have a name of an interesting Maronite theologian. So modern theologian, you can find some modern theologians that are Maronites, and perhaps you will never know that they are Maronite because they are. But one of the father of the search for the Maronite church, it's a certain Sruji. Sruji, I don't know, I can try to write. I don't know if you are, everyone have access to the chat, Sruji. Or you can write it also like this. Also, you can have a beautiful. It's one of the most important father of the Syriac churches. So it's not only for the Maronites, but also is shared by the Chaldeans and the Syriac church. It's Ephraim. You have beautiful text of Saint Ephraim. He was a composer. And this composer, he wrote beautiful poetries and hymns, and very deep, with a very deep theology in them. So you can find. I know that I have it in Italian here in my library. I don't know where is it. All the hymns of Saint Ephraim, but they are really beautiful. That you can find them. Another interesting literature of the Eastern churches and so a very beautiful literature about Eastern churches. It's the Father of the Desert and the monks. These little stories about the Father of the Deserts that is more shared in the Western countries among the Christians, because it's full of very deep spiritual teaching. This Father of the Desert, they were monks from Egypt and Lebanon and also Palestine. So it's very interesting. I think that now we can close this video. I will save it, so it will be on the website, on the page. You can see it, you can share it, because sharing is loving. And I hope that we will have the occasion to be in contact again and to speak about so many interesting things about Middle East and what we are doing here. So bye-bye, have a nice day. I'm going to pray the rosary with my seminarians, and we are praying for you and pray for us. Bye-bye.